Okay, so what we're going to look at now, excuse me, is just so you all know how to do this, we're going to build another one, another controller, and don't I have SQL open anymore? So is this a mess? So we can go ahead and start. I think I want to do people. That's why I was kind of pausing for a second. Oops. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So if I look at people, we're going to AdventureWorks. Is it people or employees? Let's see, there's, well, person. Okay, so maybe it's person. So we have. Okay, so there's a person type, first name, last name. Okay, so that works. So what we're going to look at is a person. Right? So we're going to go to our solution, and we already have our model, right? That's part of our DAL. I'm not sure we have a repository for it. We don't. Okay, so let's go ahead and create one. And this is kind of good because we're going to start from scratch and just kind of go through it. So if you were following the other videos, you kind of saw me create a product, but now we're going to create a person. So person, and this is repository. I mean, yeah, I was thinking singular or plural, but we keep this singular right now. Okay, person repository. And I'm going to cheat just because we're in this video and I don't want to waste a lot of time. We do need this right here. Okay, so let's go back to here. What do we got? Public, class, and here we'll call this public. We'll return a list of, excuse me, a list of person. Okay, so we want a list of person. We'll turn it to be our data model. And this is going to be get all. Oops, so I can spell all, get all. Now, this is where I copied. So the only thing we have to change here now is just our content should be person. And that's it. Okay, so that's got our data layer. So now let's go ahead and go create our controller. So we have a controller called products. So we're going to call this one people. And the reason I'm doing that is because you should have more than just one method in here. And one of these methods obviously is getting all. So that would be person, not people, right? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. People, not person. I said it backwards. So let's go ahead and create that one. And for sake of argument, we're just going to get rid of all these other ones. We don't really need them. Okay. And then here, oops, we don't need this. We'll go ahead and create our view, just so we don't forget, which we can't forget, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway. Index is fine. We have an empty model. Everything else just looks good. We're just going with the default. Okay. And we'll go back and deal with that later. So right now we're just going to close it. Let's go ahead and close all these others besides a repository. We'll come back to those because we'll probably do a lot of copy and pasting, which I'm going to do right here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close that one. Now, in this case, well, you know what? Let's just type it out. So we can need a public, another action, and we'll call this get people, P-O-P-L-E, and then, oops, I did that last time, didn't I? This is going to return a list of, if you look here, not that one, I'm sorry, it was the other controller. Products. No, this JSON is what's specified. We're going to return a JSON, but let's just go ahead and keep typing it out. So we need a reference to our repository. So what I'd like to do is just do this. Repository, yeah, of course. Alt enter should bring that in, and we'll call this person repository equals new. Okay, in this case we're going to say var people equals First repository dot get all, and then we got to return this. So JSON. First we'll do this because you want it to be allow get. Okay, and then here we're just going to return. Okay, so we're going to close this. We'll make this one people. Okay, and of course this is a return, so we need to type return. All right, so that's it. That's all you got to do. If you noticed, we just made a reference to a repository. We pulled back all the people, and we're turning them as JSON, and we're pretty much done with the controller. So now, let's go ahead. So we have a controller, we have a UI, but we'll come back and mess with the UI shortly. What we need to do is make another script. So inside custom, I'll go ahead and create another folder, and I'll call this one people. And in my people, we're going to add our JavaScript, which is here. We're going to call it get people. Okay. Now this is fairly simple. Again, first thing we're going to do is create people equals. What I like to do is just it's products. I'm sorry, it's going to be a string. So products, and then the name of the method, which just to be safe, get products. Okay. And that's pretty much it. We're going to create another variable called all people, and that's where we're going to put our data. P-O-P-L-E. Okay. Just for sanity check, we'll just do a comparison, and yes, same thing. Okay. Oh, maybe I should put the word URL. So let's be consistent. Okay. So get people URL. I should have used camel case, but what did I use? All right. I don't like that, but that's fine. You know what? That would bug me, even though I was too fast and didn't change the other one. So that's fine. Now, so now what you've got to do is whenever the page is loaded. So we'll go ahead and get this document ready. Okay. That if you don't know JavaScript, that really just says whenever this JavaScript is ready, then execute whatever's in this function. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead. What I like to do is start with the Ajax call. All right, so we'll put it here. Now get all people. Okay. Oh, that's why I put the word URL at the end, because that way it's not on top of each other. Because the URL now in our Ajax call is going to be to our collector. It's a get method. The data, this all products needs to change because we need to stick it into this variable, and we'll just write this variable out. Now this load grid method is there, is fine, because we're about to do it as well. So let's go ahead and replace this one. All right, and that's it. So when our document is ready, it's going to call this method. It's going to go and get our data, and we can test this now. Let's go ahead and test it, because even though the grid's not there, we still should have it to our console. So let's give it a try. Okay. Give it a second to load. This is an old one I had up, so let's go ahead and close it. Yeah, I was going to say that might have caused an error, so let's try it again. Okay, so we'll just restart. Okay, I don't like that. What's going on? Let's do a rebuild. We'll do a complete rebuild. Which means I want to clean. And then we'll do a rebuild. It's just one of those things where you're demonstrating or you're showing something. That's when it's going to mess up. But let's give it a shot. Okay. And now let's try it again. Maybe we should have closed all these windows. Okay, so what are we doing wrong? Let me look at my products. Oh, actually, I want to get rid of my products. I want to look at my controller. That's the get products controller. We're going to get rid of it. The people controller, have a breakpoint right there. One thing I did notice is in my JavaScript, there we go. And I don't think you have to do that, but we're going to just leave it at that and see what happens. So let's run it, and at least should get something out in the console. Let's see if it calls the controller. That's the point of the breakpoint. Okay. Now we should have people. Okay. And I don't think it's calling our controller. Let's see why. P-O-P-L-E. That's right. Let's look at my other JavaScript. Make sure to do something stupid. Oh, you know what? This probably has to be capitalized. Oh, wait. Duh. That's wrong. Is person. Wait, people. So I copied it directly over. So it should be people controller, get people. Okay, let's see if I have to restart just to pick that up. Sometimes in JavaScript, next to you don't have to. That's probably better. So now let's see if it's right. Okay, people. I should have some music or something playing in the background, right? Just to keep the silence from happening. Okay, so we can F12 and see what our problem is. Oh, good grief. I completely apologize. We haven't looked at the UI yet. So that's our problem. All right, so let's go down to our views. We haven't told the people index to use our JavaScript. Okay, so we're going to just close the rest of these because we're done with those. I feel comfortable they will work now that I've put the correct paths in. Close off with this, but we are going to cheat. We're going to steal some stuff from our products just because I want to rebuild everything. All right, so this. Now the word example, that came straight from Teleric's page. That's not important. The word grid kind of is because I will reference that. And I don't really care about the rest of the stuff. Okay. Here, though, we have to reference notice we're referencing jQuery 1. We're also referencing the jQuery that came with Kindu. And the bottom one is our script. Now, I'll change it when I get over there. So let's grab these. And they do care which order they come in. Okay. So for our scripts, we're looking at a cheap way to do this is to get your scripts and drag it over. Okay. And then we can get rid of get products. Now we should have something come back. Apologize about earlier. I'm trying to show you how fast you could do this. In the process, I'm making simple mistakes. So let's try it again. The grid won't load because we've got to put that code in there, but I should at least see possibly the controller being called and some data being pulled back onto the console, and I'll show you how to get to that. Okay, there we go. So the controller is being called. Let's put a breakpoint right here. So how many people we're getting back. Okay, so it's going off and getting our people. Wow, that's a lot of people. Almost 20,000. All right, so we're going to take this breakpoint out, and we're just going to run. Now, it's saying that the page didn't do anything, but if you hit F12, we had an internal server error. All right, so let's look at that and see what that does. Okay, so if we look at this error, we're basically saying that we're bringing back more data than what JSON can handle. So what we're going to do is change a couple of things. It's easy enough, even though I'm saying get all, we're going to change this to something like get top, or maybe get 10. But we want more than 10. So get top. Okay. And then the reason I say that is because here, let's see, VA, we'll take just an item. Well, it'd be plural, so items equals, let's be consistent. People equal our contents that we're using here, dot person, dot order by descending, order by, business ID. I think I can order by that, so let's try that, business entity ID. Ordered by, call it P for people, and then people dot business entity ID dot length. It's not a length. Is there an account? Nope. So what if we say person by last name dot length? It's because it's not a string, so you, well, not sure, but I will. We'll get to that later. Dot, you can use take, and we'll take 1,000. All right. And then we've got to return our people. So we'll just say people, and we still want a list. So that should work for us. I've changed my query name, so let's go change that real quick. There we go. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to put a breakpoint here to make sure we get our 1,000. And we should also see it on the UI as well. So let's see what we get. Okay, again, patience. Okay, so here's our UI. We want to say people. Okay, go. And it should hit our breakpoint. It did, okay. And we're only getting 1,000. So we had up to 20,000 people, so we can actually get more. I don't know where the break limit is for JSON. I'm sure Google can tell me real quick. But if I look, I can see my people, okay, and all the information. So, and that's another reason. VentureWorks is a massive database, and there's a lot of data that comes back with that. So let's go ahead and finish the run. Okay. Now that it's done, if you hit F12, you go to the debug tools. And remember when we wrote it out to the console, which is, let me just show you where that is. Here's my JavaScript. Okay, this write to console log, that is actually viewed here. So console, I can open this up and I see my people. Persons technically, but you get it. So now we need to break some of this out to make it useful in the UI. So we're going to do that real fast. That should not take long. And the magic to that is we're going to load our grid. Now that we're getting 1,000 people back, so let's close the rest of this. Close all but this. There we go. Let's go ahead and save. Let's go grab our products JavaScript. And I'm going to steal this load grid here because it's going to look and feel the same. And we're just going to change our data in it. Okay, so in our people, once we copy over, all this is going to be the same. We've got to change this name to all people because our data now is all products. This theme really, if you brought in the Telerik CSS files, then you can pick your themes, but that's not really important. So our schema has to change. The model fields here have to change. What do we want from our people? We want, I'm not sure what a style is. Person type, I'm not sure what that is either. So let's just go with the basics. Let's do a title, middle, first name, last name. And that's all I really care. So let's just, what is a suffix? So what I think it is, sir, ma'am, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so we're just going to do the basics. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these. I'm not sure what a name style is. Person, I'm sure it links to something else, but just for now, I don't really care. So what I'm going to do is just copy these over. So the first one is a title. Oh, I probably need the ID. Now I can get the ID to come back on the other one. I'm really not too concerned about that because this is for TDM, not really for web purposes. But the first one is going to be this, and it's a number. Okay, the next one is a title. It's a string. The next one's a first name. It's a string. Then middle name, which I probably shouldn't use, but that's okay. String. And of course, you have to separate these with commas. So I'll go ahead and grab this one because we need last name and suffix, and they're strings, so we're good there. So last name and suffix. Okay, so now we'll delete these. Make sure we got our commas, and I'm going to still, well, I don't have still these. I'm going to take this name. So now we have to add our columns, okay, because your columns have to match. So the first one's going to be my field there. My title is going to be across. So what we're going to do is actually put separations in this. And my width. That's fine for now. It may need to be smaller. Oh, but what I got rid of was filterable. The last time I did, that didn't even work, so I don't really care. So let's get rid of it. And for whoever's watching this, I may know the answer why it didn't work. And to be honest with you, I don't care. That's not the point of this video. So title can be smaller than 300. First name. Okay, so we'll separate this. I'll leave it at 200. In fact, I'm going to grab this one because we've got first name, we've got middle name, last name, and suffix. And I'm going to get rid of this one because it's a, oops, I need that. Okay, I thought I deleted the square bracket, but I didn't. Okay, so first name, this should be, nope, middle name. Last name. And suffix. Okay, and suffix can be smaller, so we'll make it 100. Okay, I think we should be good. And that's it. So let's run it and see what we got. Okay, go. Okay, and we want our people. Now again, first of all, while this is pulling up, I apologize about if there's background noises and things like that. These videos really aren't professional. In fact, they're supposed to be going to the audience that I control. But with saying that, if I made them professional, I'd have to charge you all. I'm just kidding. So it looks like our data is here. I don't like our length, but it looks like everything's here. So let's try to widen some of this and see if we can get some more real estate. But here's our 1,000. I guess the middle is just initial. So maybe we should put it initial. It is, so middle, not name, because that's very confusing when you look at that. So, okay, I think that's the abbreviation for initial. We want to widen some of these, so let's try 400 on this one. This one can be smaller. Oops, not that big. In fact, we might just get away with this, since the ID is not even working anyway. Suffix is probably a 2 character, so we'll make it 10, and last name will go to 400 on that. I'm not sure what the width is. You could play with it and find out. Again, I'm being very vague because I'm trying to show you how quick this is. And the trade-off is this is really for TDM test purposes, not to perfect a website. But you get how simple it is to build a website, right? Okay, let's get our people. There it goes. Okay, that took a while. Let's get rid of this breakpoint because we feel confident it's working. There we go. So, ooh, that got ugly. So the title is off. We probably get rid of this. First name. So I need to look at this and see why it's not lining up. So let's look at that one more second, and if it doesn't work, then it's fine. We'll play with off hours and go from there. So here we're not, what I was looking at is, am I describing width? Nope. I'm not describing width anywhere in this If we are, we need to get rid of it. Okay. So load grid. We'll get page size. We'll get rid of that. So our columns here. Let's go move this back to 100. Title, we'll leave it 100. First name, middle initial, we'll put back to 100. And last name is 400. Suffix, we'll leave it 100. Don't know what that'll get us. Let me look on the UI to make sure I'm not doing any style sheets or anything, because I really don't want to for this purpose. Nope, not there. But I'm going to get rid of this external div because we don't need that. Okay, no, that's one we really need. And if we wanted to be somewhat professional, we could just do this. Call it people grid. Okay. That way it kind of shows you how simple it is to move this. Okay, people. If you can imagine where that would go, it goes right here. Okay. And that's it. So let's run it. And one last time, if the size is still off, I don't really care. But my point to this video is, you see how simple it is. We had a controller. Our controller is calling our data access layer, which is called Unity Framework Core, which is calling the AdventureWorks database. We were also able to debug the fact that it's too much data. And I know it doesn't look like it, but just in a couple of minutes, we're able to build a whole other page of doing the exact same thing and pulling the data back. Now, okay, it's a little better. I'm not sure why. I'll have to look. Like, I would expect that to come all the way out. The last name does look better. The name itself, maybe there's a rule on this, the whole grid. So let's get rid of this business ID. I should be able to sort on this too. No, I guess I turned that off, but let's try one more time. And what we're going to do is get rid of the business ID because it's not coming back anyway. And what I'll do is I'll just take that out. Now, truthfully, if this was for a customer, or if we really were trying to do something with this, I would spend time to figure out why those IDs were coming back. But the truth is, just for this reference, it's not important. So, but before I run it one more time, what we did was we took the whole idea of this is there's no, I could not find a UI out there that laid on top of the Bicycle Works. The Bicycle Works has a lot of great data. In fact, sometimes it's too much data, which we saw here through an error. But how do you throw a UI on top of it without wasting too much time? And that's what we did here. So we used data access layer. We created a data model using Entity Framework Core, which is the newer version. We created two repositories that goes off and get data. One of them brings back everything. The other one has a limitation on it. So, so that's good. There's a little, okay, just a little cleanup there. And then from there, we created an MVC framework web app. It started as an API. The API is still there. We're just not using it. And again, the data is massive. So what you could do is clean up the data like I did here, which you see in the background, and you can control that to build your APIs even better. But if you look, so we have a products controller. And again, we could just do some house cleaning here. Okay, and then the products controller is using Kindu. So if you went to a Chrome and you did Kindu, or any version, Kindu UI, this is Teller Kindu. They have some great query, controls out there. All there are controls. But if you go to demos and we're using jQuery, you could use AngularJS just fine. And then just click on whatever you want to use down here. Now, granted, you have to have this installed. And then when you look at this, you can scroll down and you can see the code. Now, I'm not using hardly any of this, but you can filter through it. Like, I'm definitely using the fields and the columns, but all the other stuff I don't care about. The biggest thing to keep in mind is I use style sheets. I am not using style sheets, and that's how you get all the pretty grids and the rows and all the, all the pretty color stuff. Like me rolling my mouse over in the bottom tab, the top tab. I could care less, but that's pretty much what I use for the JavaScript. Now, with saying that, we have our controllers. The MVC says I have a view. My view is right here. My view then, with JavaScript, calls my controller. Where's my scripts? Right here above it. So I have my scripts, get people, we'll just look at this one. And in get people, I don't like zombie code, so let's get rid of that. Oops. So with the get people, what we're looking at is bringing back the title, the first name, middle name, and suffix. And we probably don't need suffix, but you know what? It's there. And what we're doing is we're mapping to our controller. And then from our controller, we're loading it with Ajax. And then we're pumping that data to our grid. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, definitely ping me and let me know.